1. I'm not the kind of person who wants to see everything fall apart and burn. When I noticed something was wrong with my wife, I didn't hesitate to talk to her about it. I asked her why she had stopped talking to me, hugging me and being close to me. I even asked her why she seemed uncomfortable with my touch. It wasn't easy to get her to open up at first, but eventually she did. And what I heard broke my heart. She said she didn't feel like I was enough for her, that she had to do everything herself and couldn't rely on me. She felt like she had to make all the decisions and handle everything, including the kids. She even said that maybe she would be better off alone. Hearing all of this was a shock, but I didn't want to fight with her. I love her so much that I accepted what she said and told her I understood her pain. I promised her I would work on my behavior so she wouldn't have to stress about it. I just want to make things right because she means the world to me. But it's tough, you know. Despite all that I do, I still have my own thoughts that keep me awake at night. That's actually why I ended up seeking support from this group. Because the accusations my wife is making against me just aren't true, at least not from my perspective. I genuinely believe I'm a good husband who meets the norm. I work around 8-9 hours from home, and when I'm finished I dedicate myself to taking care of my boys. I play with them, feed them, take the older one to swim lessons and tuck them in at bedtime. I'll even wake up in the middle of that night if they need me. And it's not just about the kids. I also handle household chores, the dishes, groceries, and some cleaning, although my wife thinks I'm not efficient enough at it, so she prefers to take over. I also take care of the car and other responsibilities related to our new house. I do all of this to make her life easier, because I know how challenging it can be with 2 little boys. But the thing is, I'm not always the type of person who's constantly proactive. You know, there are those people who can't sit on the couch for 5 minutes without thinking about what to do next, what needs fixing, what business to start, what chores are left to do. My father-in-law is like that, but I'm not. I have my own unique way of doing things, and I believe that's okay, too. At the end of the day, when the kids are finally asleep, work is checked off, and the house is in order, I look forward to unwinding with a movie or some video games. I've never been the entrepreneurial type who wants to start my own business. I thrive when I'm given tasks to excel at in my field. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Plenty of people are like me. I'm not chasing some flashy career or dreaming of swimming in money. I'm just an ordinary guy, and yeah, people tell me I'm good looking, who simply wants a happy, healthy family and a decent living. But things have been different lately. I've noticed my wife having issues with my approach, even though we've had 9 years of blissful marriage. It all came to a head in December, and since then I've been pushing myself to go against my natural personality. I've been doing extra groceries, fixing up things around the house, barely taking a moment to rest in the evenings. I thought she'd appreciate it, but her attitude towards me remained unchanged. So I mustered up the courage to confront her, my emotions running high. I looked her straight in the eye and asked her point blank, "Do you even want to save our marriage?" Her response hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't know. I couldn't believe it. Was she that clueless or just indifferent? I gritted my teeth and pushed on, asking her if she was willing to go to marriage counseling, and once again she had the audacity to reply with that same infuriating answer. I don't know. I couldn't take it anymore. I snapped at her, telling her that this was not the time for indecision. Our kids could end up with divorced parents if we didn't act fast, and her lack of commitment was unacceptable. She finally agreed to go to therapy after much prodding, but true to form she showed no interest in taking any initiative. I had to do all the legwork in finding a therapist myself, and during one of our counseling sessions she dropped some brutal truths that cut me to the core. She said she only married me to impress her family and fit into their idea of a perfect happy family with beautiful children. She admitted that she was never truly in love with me, but was merely enchanted by the idea of marriage. As if that wasn't enough, I later found out that she had met with her fellow priest to discuss our marriage behind my back. It was a betrayal that left me reeling with anger and hurt. But despite it all, I soldiered on and found a good therapist for us. We're now approaching our 3rd session, but it's been a rocky road. We learned that we have different love languages. I crave touch, while she prioritizes getting things done. It's been a constant struggle, and to make matters worse, she hasn't shown me any physical affection since we started counseling. No hugs, no touch, nothing. The therapist was taken aback when she heard that my wife and I hadn't slept in the same room for 6 whole months. My wife tried to explain it away, saying that she's been sharing the bed with the kids and there's simply no space for me. But the therapist didn't hold back. She bluntly told my wife that it's a terrible example to set for the kids, denying their own father access to the bedroom. She even suggested that we should go to Ducking IKEA and buy a single bed to put next to the big one. So I went ahead and did just that. I bought the bed, assembled it, and now I sleep there. but I still feel just as alone as before. My wife is all the way to the left, the boys are in the middle, and I'm stuck on the far right, feeling like an outsider in my own marriage. From the very beginning of this issue, my wife has been changing her story. Now she's saying that she's depressed from being stuck at home with the kids all the time. She's claiming that she said all those hurtful things because she was just too emotional, but I would never dream of saying anything like that to her no matter how upset I am. So my wife went back to work, and we had to hire a nanny to handle the kids. The only change I noticed is that we started talking more. But I ain't just her buddy. I'm her husband, too, and there's zero closeness between us. And it ain't looking like it's gonna improve anytime soon. No signs of it. She doesn't give a duck about our marriage counseling sessions. I'm the one who has to keep setting them up. Things are much worse than I thought. You wouldn't believe how my buddies were all like, "Dude, your wife is totally cheating on you." At first I was like, nah, that's some sci-fi stuff, like straight out of a movie or something. My wife would never do that. But darn, today everything changed. It's a fact now, and you won't believe how frickin' easy it was to catch her red-handed. I installed a voice-activated recorder in our car, not even a GPS. Had it in there for just 3 days. She used the car to go to work, hit the gym, and bam. She called him, or he called her twice. Not sure who made the first move, but I heard every word of their video conversation on the phone. Got all the evidence I need, man. They were talking about some seriously personal crap, just like how my wife and I used to when we first met 9 years ago. You know, all that attraction, inside jokes and stuff. I haven't had that with her in a long time. And get this, they were even planning a freaking vacation together, and she wants to visit him in July. Can you believe that? She gave him a 2-year time frame to move back to our country. I mean, for real, I can't even wrap my head around it. And the way they were talking about his Johnson, and how she straight up said she's going to be his wife and leave me soon. They were even discussing their favorite positions, so you know they were real close. It's all right there. I just listened to an hour-long recording of that mess. I need to process it all. Gotta meet with an attorney next week, no doubt about it, and let me tell you, thanks to my friend. If it wasn't for his suggestion, I would have never bought that voice recording device. Somebody could say that I'm a moron for placing it in the car and violating my wife's privacy, but I don't give a crap. This is what I should have done. I don't feel guilty at all. I can't stop thinking about my kids and what she's done. They've been up to something since last September, and it took me 2 whole months to notice any changes in her behavior. Next week I'll be taking care of my old father in another city for the entire week. That means she won't be going to work and instead will be using my home office, and you know what? That also means she'll probably be talking to him in my office. So should I place the recorder in there for the next week, or do you think I've got enough evidence already? My wife, out of the blue, tried calling her ex-boyfriend not once, not twice, but 4 freaking times in a row at 10 p.m. I found out because we used to have this app that saved both our numbers, so I could see all the incoming and outgoing calls. Why would my wife, who never mentioned her ex before, suddenly be calling him so persistently? It drove me insane. I couldn't let it go. I decided to check her iMessages on her laptop. Turns out, after calling him 4 times, she even sent him a message saying, "I'm not giving up until you actually answer and communicate with me in a respectful and civilized manner." I couldn't believe my eyes. I confronted her about it, and she straight up denied it. But I had the app and her outgoing calls right there in front of me. She couldn't worm her way out of it. She had no choice but to finally admit that she did try to reach her ex. I questioned her about the calls, and she said she was just returning his call. But when I asked if she had messaged him afterward, she denied it. So I pulled up the message she had sent him, and that's when she came up with an explanation. She claimed he had called her while drunk, spouting nonsense, and she had told him off and hung up, but later she felt guilty and tried calling him multiple times when he wouldn't pick up and then sent the message. Turns out he never replied. It was quite a convoluted story, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. I'm feeling uncertain about how to process this. It all occurred when she started distancing herself from me. Her perspective is that it's not strange or negative for her to have kept it from me. It doesn't hold much significance to her. The fact remains that any contact with an ex is a red flag for me. It's simply unacceptable. Is she being unfaithful? Our closeness has been lacking for the past 6 months, which is exactly when these calls took place. Who is her AP, after all? I now have concrete evidence that our issues aren't due to the reasons she's been telling everyone. The thing is, she doesn't know that I know. None of her family or friends are aware, either. They all think we're just going through a temporary, rough patch. She comes from a Catholic family with 3 sisters, and she attends church every Sunday. We live in a small town with a population of 17,000, and we recently built a house that's still unfinished. I discovered that she's planning to have me leave soon so that she can have time alone. And then within 2 years her AP will move to our small town to live with her in our house, along with our 2 young boys. She's hoping people will understand and won't complain, claiming that she needs a father figure for her kids. Interestingly, the AP is actually her first boyfriend, and they were together for 7 years before she married me. We've been together for 9 years. Although he lives abroad, he frequently visits our country. I won't allow myself to be manipulated in that way. I've taken the step of hiring an attorney, and will be meeting with them soon. I have recordings that could potentially damage her reputation. Cheating wife was not expecting my next move. I had a chat with my lawyer and got some eye-opening advice. Turns out, going all out and trying to burn her world during the divorce wouldn't be the wisest move. We have kids together, and I'll have to co-parent with her for the next 15, 16 years, so I need to be mindful of that. Plus, I have a lot of respect for her family and don't want to drag them into the divorce proceedings as witnesses. Moreover, I don't get a chance of winning custody of the kids, since they're young and need to be with their mother in the small town, an hour away from me in the capital city. Plus, I wouldn't even be allowed to sell our house because the kids need a decent place to live and we don't have another option. The place they're staying at right now is owned by her dad, so it's just a temporary arrangement. It sucks, but that's the reality here in the Czech Republic, Europe. After our conversation, the lawyer sent her the divorce papers, which were set to be delivered right after Easter in the Czech Republic. Yesterday, I had a day off from work, so I was taking care of my 1-year-old son while she went to work in the capital city, which is about an hour away. In the meantime, my brother helped me pack up all my belongings from the apartment and load them into his car. To add to the chaos, the postman delivered the divorce papers, or rather an invitation to mediation, so we could try to divide everything in a civilized manner and have an amicable divorce. According to the papers, she's in a relationship with this guy, mentioning his first and last name, and that's apparently the reason for the divorce. But hey, at least the evidence I have will come in handy when it comes to child support and all that. It'll definitely be some leverage in my favor. As soon as she walked into the house, I confronted her and told her that I knew everything. I had solid proof and I was deeply hurt by it. I insisted that she contact my lawyer. Then I handed her the divorce papers and left to visit her parents. Naturally, she started asking me what I knew and how I knew it, and she denied everything. Her parents were in shock, but they believed me. I had recorded the entire conversation, just like my attorney had advised. I started by asking them if they thought I was a good and caring husband and father. They gave their approval, which means she won't be able to use them as witnesses against me in court. Just like I mentioned earlier, they believed me and understood the gravity of what she has done and how it has devastated our lives. I expressed my gratitude for their understanding and headed to the capital city. In the meantime, I reached out to a friend who helped spread the news to her circle of friends, so guess what? 2 hours later, my awesome brother-in-law called me and said that she confessed that she cheated on me with the AP, but she conveniently forgot to mention any closeness with him. Classic. My brother-in-law also filled me in on how everyone's on my side and how she single-handedly destroyed our once perfect family. Then, he goes on to tell me that everything can be saved, because, hey, he's cheated on his wife, too, but she forgave him and now they're living happily ever after. Hilarious, right? Like that's gonna make me feel better. Then, to add to the circus, her father gives me a call and starts spouting off about how it's all her fault and she's completely clueless about what she's done. He goes on about how the AP will never set foot in his house again, and how he's cutting off financial support for my soon-to-be ex-wife. He even tried calling the AP, but of course the guy didn't bother picking up. And then, in a grand finale of absurdity, he tells me he thinks it can all be saved. But wait, there's more. Her sister sends me a text saying she's fully on my side, but again she thinks it can be saved. Okay, it's a good that they're on my side, but God, what the heck are they talking about? Are they all delusional, or what? It's ridiculous, as if this whole mess could be magically fixed. It's infuriating. I really don't believe our relationship can be salvaged, and I'm quite certain about it. I'm worried that others might think I don't have concrete evidence, and that my reasons for leaving her aren't enough. They're not aware of the specifics of the evidence I have. All they know is that it's some sort of tape. I've got recordings of her actually saying stuff like, "So make sure you can last longer than 3 seconds when I come to visit you in Brussels. I'm really curious if your dad's Johnson is as big as yours. I'll go up to that woman and ask her how long your brother's Johnson is, and I'll let her know how big yours is. Oh, I love you so much. Well, I'm finally going to leave my husband. About time. Do me a favor, record yourself and send me a video. I want to see what I'm missing. Just showing you a glimpse of what your sad life without me will look like. Giving you a generous 2 years to figure out how to move back here. Crazy idea. So guess who's calling back now? Yep, my ex, just like all my friends predicted. After her family gave her an earful, she's been texting me. I had no clue what I was doing. Oh, life would be unbearable without you. I'm so sorry for everything I've done and I'm waiting with the kids for your grand comeback. Blah blah blah. So my lawyer finally laid out the divorce terms I want, and now we're playing the waiting game for her lawyer's response. But in the meantime, my mother-in-law decided to flood my phone with a barrage of texts, complete with Christian links about forgiveness. Apparently, she's convinced my wife's been possessed by some evil spirit, and as if that wasn't enough drama, her sister jumped on the blame train, too, telling me straight up that I'm the one who's going to ruin the whole marriage. According to her, it's all my fault for being selfish. But wait for it. Now my wife's all teary-eyed and apologetic, wishing she could turn back time. Suddenly I'm the selfish villain who's going to destroy the marriage by divorcing her. Yep, all on me now, like I'm the bad guy for wanting out. I had a feeling this was coming, that the situation would start shifting and her family would turn against me. But it's still a shock. For a brief moment today, I actually felt guilty. Like it's all my fault. Like my wife treating me like garbage for months, emotionally and physically abandoning me, and wanting to leave me was somehow on me. They really know how to sway me, but you know what? It's tough, but I'm not changing my mind. The divorce is happening, no matter what. In the Czech Republic, kids as young as ours are usually expected to stay with their mother in case of a divorce, so I won't have them with me all the time. Since she lives in a small town an hour away, and the kids have their kindergarten and nursery there, it's not feasible to do a 50-50 split. I'll be stuck with being an every other weekend dad with some additional access whenever I want. It's definitely sad and painful, but it is what it is. So I've been considering this crazy idea of presenting her with some terms to get back together. I mean, I don't really love her anymore, but I would do it for the kids, because I love them to bits. It wouldn't be a marriage, just some sort of partnership with separate finances. She'd have to leave her hometown and move to the capital city where I live. Oh, and I'd insist on having GPS in her car even when she's old and can't drive anymore, and I'd need to check her phone every day, and in return I get to go on dates with random girls for 7 months. Heck, I might even cheat during the relationship and not tell her, cause if she finds out whatever, no marriage anyway, I don't really care. I know it's just an idea, nothing serious, and I probably won't actually go through with it. I'm just desperate to shut up the family, who keeps accusing me of abandoning the kids. What do you think? Crazy, right? But I don't have any other bright ideas at the moment. My life, now. I'm crashing at my parents' place for now, sleeping on the couch in their living room. The dining table has turned into my makeshift office, entertainment center, and my clothes are scattered all over the chairs. I work from home for about 8 hours a day, and after that, I usually pitch in with chores around the house to help out my elderly parents, who are 90 and 82 years old. I do the groceries and drive them to their doctor appointments. Besides that, I try to hit the gym or catch a movie at the cinema just to distract myself from all the negative thoughts about what happened. I get to see my kids every weekend. My ex drops them off, and I drive them back. Oh, and just to clear things up, I did a paternity test and it's confirmed that the boys are mine. No confusion there, at least. The whole divorce terms situation is a bit of a mess right now, and it's tough to predict how it's going to play out. I mean, I'm crashing at my parents' place for now, and as a dad of 2 and a grown adult, I don't have any other place to go to. So I'm asking for a decent chunk of money from my wife, plus I want her to take over the mortgage for the house. She's agreed to the mortgage takeover, but she's only offering me 1/3 of the money I'm asking for, and she's justifying it by saying that's how much I put into building the house. It's all a bit messy, to be honest. The thing is, I didn't cause this whole situation, and I'm not at fault here. But the fact remains, I need a place to live, and just getting 1/3 of the amount I'm asking for isn't going to cut it when it comes to buying a flat. So the back and forth between our lawyers continues. She's only offering me a small amount because she wants to keep the house, but I found out during our last conversation that she might be forced to sell it. Honestly, that's what she should have done from the beginning. It's going to be tough for her to manage the mortgage payments and pay me as well. We'll see how this all pans out. When it comes to child support, she's asking for way more than what's reasonable, and we still need to come to an agreement on that. On top of that, she's insisting that I should be the one picking up the kids from the small town and driving them back at the end of the weekend. It's a lot of fuel and time on my part. In my opinion, it should be the other way around. She should be dropping them off, and I should be driving them back. So, you can see that she's the one responsible for all of this, but at the same time, she's ready to argue about the divorce terms. It's frustrating to say the least. My wife tried to convince me that she's remorseful and regrets what she's done. She told me she ended things with her AP, went to see an exorcist, confessed all the details of the affair, and left it in God's hands. I couldn't help but laugh at that point, and told her that I don't care about her priest, and if there's anyone she should be confessing to, it's me. I gave her a chance to come clean, and asked her how many times she had been close with him. She denied it. Then I brought up the party she had with her work friends back in November, and asked her why she rented an Airbnb for the night instead of staying at one of her friends' places. She went numb and couldn't find any words, except for asking me why I keep torturing myself with it. I explained that if she truly felt remorseful, she wouldn't keep lying 2 months after I left her. It was clear she wasn't being honest. I explained to her that for me, closeness over video chat is just as significant, and I am aware that she had it with him. She couldn't even keep track of how many times she had done it with the AP. Then I confronted her, asking her how she envisions us getting back together. I pointed out how she would start a conversation with me, and then lie in the very next moment. I asked her if she was aware that I would be checking her phone every day, and what she thought about that. She snapped back, "That's not trust, that's just treating me like garbage." Right at that moment our son interrupted, and the conversation was wrapping up. I added, "Don't forget, it's not just me you cheated on, but also our 2 beloved boys." It devastated her, and she started yelling that I'd better not say anything like that again in front of our kids. It's ironic, her sister spilled the beans on how my wife puts on a show of suffering and crying every day because of this mess. She's a real two-faced person, acting all sad in front of the family but still lying to my face. She had the nerve to say that she could be with the AP if she wanted, and her family wouldn't do a thing about it. As if I should be grateful that she ended it with him, and now she's in control of not being with him. I mean, seriously. Divorce. After some back and forth with our lawyers, we've reached an agreement, and the divorce will be finalized soon. She's getting the unfinished house and the mortgage is solely her responsibility now. I want to make it clear that the house is for the kids, and I don't want anyone accusing me of selling it out of revenge for her infidelity in the future. Besides, I don't want to live in her small hometown, which is an hour away from the capital city where I currently am. However, I'm getting back what I invested in the house, and the amount is actually not too shabby. The child support amount isn't too bad, and we've agreed that she'll drop the kids off at my place in the capital city every other weekend. I'll just have to drive them back afterwards. But honestly, seeing my kids only on weekends isn't enough for me. It hurts so much. I can barely handle it at times. I can't bear the thought of my 1- and 3-year-old boys growing up without a father because of their mother's behavior. I wish I could have them with me, but unfortunately, the law in the Czech Republic doesn't allow it. I might have to start driving there in the middle of the week or find some other way to make it work and survive. When it comes to her, she keeps reaching out to me, saying she still loves me and wishes she could undo the past. She claims she's suffering every day because of what she's done. She even softened to the point where she told me she doesn't mind if I check her phone, and that it wouldn't make her feel like garbage anymore. She apologized to my parents and seemed genuinely remorseful. She's willing to do whatever it takes to make things right now. You won't believe what I found out about her affair partner. According to our mutual friends, the dude actually dumped her. Can you believe it? Apparently, he's got a whole family with a kid in Brussels, and he didn't want to risk getting caught up in this messy situation. Turns out it was all just a game for him, and he played my wife like a fiddle. I'm moving on with my life, and I won't let her toxic behavior drag me down. The divorce is happening, and there's no going back. Good riddance to the cheater. I've got better things to focus on and a brighter future ahead of me. Life goes on, and I'm not wasting any more time looking back at the mess she created. It's time for a fresh start, and I'm ready to embrace it with open arms. Time for a fresh start, and I'm ready to embrace it with open arms. Bye.